Welcome back to Headliners. Let's do a quick recap of those front pages. Observer talks about opposing Trump's plan to slap tariffs on the UK. Mail on Sunday reveal who stumped up the money for Prince Andrew. The Sunday Express, Brave Kate returns to work. The Telegraph, rebel farmers threaten blockades. And the Sun on Sunday, back to duty. And the Sunday Times, £1 billion budget bill for Tesco fuel price rise fears. Lewis, inside the papers, the Sunday Telegraph. Remembrance Day could be decolonised. Good, because no one wants to see your colon in the middle of... Hang on, it's a decolonised story.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get, that joke doesn't work for you because you're too smart to fall for that. People are saying, why is he trying to... And first of all, why do you have to read the headlines for the news? Do you think they forgot? Do you think they come on this program to watch headlines for the news? That's obviously some big meeting they had here. Oh, let's be more like the BBC and dull.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, I was going to say, Lewis, I have enjoyed working with you, Lewis.
A carriage clock or a watch? What should we buy?
Anyways, this is they're handing out this organization called the PPU. Remembrance Day should be decolonized, say campaigners. And it's an organization called Peach Pledge Union is selling white poppies for all the people of the outside world who've died. And the people who are handing out the red poppies, which I am wearing, are saying, hey, we should think about people who died fighting for Britain, like all those Americans. But, screw those people. Not screw the people. You don't screw them. But if you buy a white poppy, the money doesn't go to the British soldiers.
That's the thing here, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, Lewis is right with his cheap poppy.
It is a lovely poppy, Steve. It really is lovely.
What does that mean?
No, the point is paper ones on TV just end up looking rubbish. You take your jacket off and then they
don't last a minute, do they?
Go with the metal ones. Surely it's one of the things that... Do we need to decolonise Remembrance Day?
No, no, we don't.
Yeah.
The answer to that is absolutely we don't. And the important thing to remember here is the people making that argument couldn't care less for those people. They're not supporting our armed services. Not at all. They're not really supporting those that have fallen in protecting, our safety in the past. So we can dismiss them, particularly this weekend. We can absolutely dismiss them. It means nothing to hear from them.
Right. They're to make British people look bad. That's what it is.
They're grifters, and they will grift all year long, and you will see them grift, whether it's Christmas, Easter, Remembrance Sunday. They will go for anything that's Anglo or Christian or anything that supports the armed services or anything that makes us great as British people.
And the only immigrants that I care about are the Angles, the Saxons, the Jews, the Picts.
Oh, I was listening to that episode.
Yeah.
Those are the immigrants that matters. Maybe the Scots, wherever they came from.
You're thinking
maybe
about
the Romans.
Who fell in those wars.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. But does anybody even mention 1066?
No, not often. Not on this show.
No.
Paul, the Mail on Sunday, the TV adaptation of The Mirror and the Light goes a bit Mirror and the Darker.
Well, yes, BBC branded jaw-achingly stupid over controversial decision to cast black and minority ethnic actors in anticipated final series of Tudor drama Wolf Hall. So here we go again, chaps. The Mirror and the Light, something I was unaware of, the TV adaptation of the final book of Damien Hillary's Wolf Hall trilogy, broadcast on BBC One on Sunday, with several black actors in very significant roles. And I couldn't care less.
Oh, nice, yeah.
I absolutely couldn't care. I mean, we're at a point where men can get a gold medal for punching women in the face all summer. Well, I don't care if Idris Elba plays blooming a chambermaid in a Tudor... And honestly, I don't care anyway. We've covered these stories for a living for 3 years now, and I didn't care very much in the first place, and I really don't care now.
Yeah. Idris Elbow.
Yeah, I went with that.
Yeah,
I thought that was deliberate, by the way.
Right.
If you're going to pick on someone, don't pick on Idris Elbow.
Oh, no. Brave
I'm sorry, Idris Elbow.
The next James Bond will be beating you up.
Yeah, he will be. He could beat me up as well. I could
get a gold medal.
I might be able to eat him, though, so you've got to watch out.
What do you think about this? Does it bother you? Are you also resigned to, this is what TV is?
Well, as you know, I'm deeply ensconced in the film industry myself, and they've hired me to play any actor. As you ask an actor, they should play anything. They should play anything, but if they can get away with it, if they can't get away with it, I remember Dr. Zhivago was played by an Egyptian guy, he's played a Russian. If you can get away with it, maybe you should do it. But the truth is why are you giving the BBC any money? Because they don't deserve your money. And we're giving them money because all they're doing is this has a political context. It's like saying, look at how brown we are. We're not just a white country anymore. And the truth is that we're not, but that doesn't mean we've got to, whatever. I don't even know what. But
I thought we were going to end the sentence there. No,
Nearly, Steve.
I didn't have a sentence.
No,
Something.
never mind. Well, Lewis, the Mail on Sunday, and Oxford University to be decolonised. Good. No one wants to see you colon. I've done it again.
It doesn't work for you. You're too smart, and the audience knows you're smart, and that's why you're not getting ahead, because you're too smart.
That's not why.
And you're making jokes all the time with you and your jokey jokes. Anyway, Oxford University, they got £3.5 million, which is about $4 million, decolonising the curriculum and encouraging reporting of microaggressions. When there are no microaggressions, when there are no aggressions, you've got to
Of course, Steve and I have discussed the possibility of nano-aggressions in the future, and way beyond that, because
the femto-aggressions.
When you get to a point where as a Western society, where you solve lots and lots of problems, this is where you find yourself. And they say here the academic chiefs are aiming to close the attainment gaps between black and white students. When will we learn that dividing people into their skin colour, we will never solve any attainment?
And you won't win an election for president in the United States again.
No, you certainly won't.
But to that point, do you not think there's the bit where they bring up the stats? So they want to try and close that attainment gap. Whereas, in terms it was 22% from basically non-white admitted to Oxford University, 18% of the population. So 22, last time I checked, bigger than 18. Not only has the gap been closed, it's then overlapped a bit.
It has, and I think there's been some bias in that direction. And you can argue till the cows come home. We don't even know where the cows are, and we don't even know whether they're coming home.
No.
But
they're on a farm, so marching on Downing Street every day now.
Where are they getting the money from, Oxford University, to spend $3.3 million? They're getting it from the central government of Britain. The British people are actually paying. They get a lot of money from foreign students, but a lot of it comes from all that money that people are getting from the British government to pay for Oxford. So I think this is a problem with centralization. You can tick that box. This country's too centralized. The universities are owned by the state.
Did you not get in? That's got the sound of a guy who was sent to a former polytechnic. Paul, The Independent, why cancel culture should be cancelled.
Yeah, interesting. Cancelled to review cancel culture in universities after ostracised Oxford student takes own life. So a coroner has called on the government to examine the prevalence of cancel culture on university campuses after ruling that a 20-year-old Oxford student took his own life after being ostracised by his peers. And he was ostracised. This poor young man was known as Alexander Rogers, and he was ostracised after a former partner expressed discomfort after a sexual encounter with him. And I think, first of all, we should pay tribute to this young man. It's an awful situation to find yourself in, particularly at that age. We've lost a talented young person. He was obviously at one of our best universities, so his future, I'm sure, would have been bright. It's a tragic case. But the irony for me is, this is in The Independent. The Independent and The Guardian are some of the biggest purveyors of cancel culture. And now they're trying to tell us this story as if they care. They don't care. And universities, the petri dishes where cancel culture is grown, they don't care either. We really have to tackle this stuff, OK? You can see empathy from every side. The guy fumbling his way as a young man with a young woman can easily get himself into this trouble. His friends ostracise him because they know, as a society, that is a terrible thing to be accused of. So they back off.
But isn't that the thing here? This is not really a university problem. This is within that bit of society. It's a social thing that his friends ostracised him. You can't put a rule in place, can you?
I think what you can do is create an element of tolerance within society where young people...
Who is doing that?
Well, who does that? We all do that collectively.
But who?
We don't divide and rule. The Guardian and The Independent will put everyone in their silos and say, that's bad, and they will binarise everything.
Paul, you ignorant... I love your dad. Who's going to put that into force? The force is, like Steve said,
you're right.
It's a horrible situation. It's a horrible situation. But you can't have the government come in and say, oh, you've got to be nice to this kid. That's even worse.
No, I don't think so. I'm talking here about the media.
And the point is, as someone myself who has been, Me Too'd and marginalized, and people get mad at me for
And
all
me
these
freed.
and me freed, and I'm on this channel and doing this thing, and people say we don't want to talk to you because you're on GBNews. That's the kid. The guy's going to university. He's got to learn something about life. He shouldn't have committed.
I've ended up on the same side of the argument as Louis Schaefer, so I'm worried, and I'm going to go and check some things in a second.
Steve.
Meanwhile.